I think, first of all, what I'd like to do is thank our fans. That was an awesome atmosphere Saturday. They did a great job from the morning of game day, bringing great energy into the stands. It was much appreciated. That was a fantastic atmosphere. We definitely appreciate that. As far as the ball game goes, definitely have to commend our defense. They played a fantastic game against a very explosive offense. I thought that Jade Barron had a great game. Ryan Watts, Barron Sorrell, just to name a few guys. It was unfortunate. The two touchdowns they had were really our two breakdowns in the game, and it just happened to capitalize on those two plays, the long run, excuse me, and the touchdown pass. But outside of that, I thought we were physical, played hard, very effective, continued to fight. So that was really impressive. And I thought on special teams, very impactful game from a special team standpoint. Keaton Crawford blocking the field goal, big kick return for Keelan Robinson, so very effective on that front. I think offensively, we just didn't play well. We had one of those nights where if it wasn't one guy, it was another guy. And if it wasn't that guy, it was the next guy. And we all just kind of took our turns to where we couldn't get out of our own way. And I think at times we showed a little bit of our immaturity, a little bit of our youth, in that we didn't respond great once the game gets hard. Credit to them. They played a good game defensively, but we sure didn't capitalize on some of the opportunities we had. And it's easy to point out the two red area opportunities we had, but there was opportunities early in the game that we just didn't take advantage of. Fortunately for us, we get to play again Saturday in a very meaningful game against a very good opponent. Kansas has got a nice football team. Coach Leipold has done a really nice job with that program. They're running the ball extremely well, explosive, very opportunistic defensively. So got back to work today. Proud of the guys' mentality of coming in to get back to work. They continue wanting to try to improve and develop and get better, which is the mindset. And then ultimately, an opportunity for us offensively to redeem ourselves, which is obviously what we would like to do, is to play better. So on that, we'll open it up.
Raise your hand if you have a question. We'll get a mic to you. Start here in the far left. Chip.
Steve, what's hampering the passing game? And is Quinn looking for Worthy too much?
The passing game is about precision and timing and execution. And, we like I said, we kind of took turns. I mean, there's some throws I think Quinn would like to have back. There's some opportunities that receivers and tight ends would like to have back where we didn't catch the ball. In the end, it's about that precision, that timing. And, I think to Quinn's defense, he's looking to where we design the plays to go. So, ultimately we got to execute better in the passing game. But overall, collectively, we need to execute better offensively.
Stand left, Danny.
Steve, do you have a Deshaun Jameson update, and also going off that, how did you think Terrence performed?
I think Deshaun's getting better naturally with time. Anytime you have a concussion, you gradually start to get better, so that's a positive. I think Terrence Brooks, really played a good game for his first career start. I think he played 72 plays on defense. Played our field corner. Looked comfortable, looked physical, got more comfortable as the game went on. It's unfortunate, we just had the miscommunication there on the touchdown pass with he and Anthony Cook, and that I think comes with a little bit of experience of playing together. You got a true freshman out there. We just ended up cutting them loose, and they made the play and the quarterback found them. But for his first career start, looked very comfortable, and I think there's plenty of room for him to grow and things for him to learn from.
Coach, we know the run game stalled in the first half, but
Yep.
do you regret not giving Bijan more than 12 touches in the game?
Yeah, sure. The more I can give it to him, but I think at the end of the day, you're just trying to find a way to find some rhythm to the offense, and I felt like the rhythm that we found was somewhat in the passing game. It got ourselves a chance to kind of get down there a couple times. So in the end, I know this, when we win, he generally has more carries, and that comes from balance in the offense. We didn't have balance. We didn't have anything really there for a while. So we just tried to find the one thing that was working at that point, and that felt like that was the passing game to give us a chance.
Back on this side, Kurt.
Steve, after the game, you said you didn't think it'd be fair to put your touch in Clark for a few minutes kind of in the game. But did
staff consider playing him like the whole second half, or even the fourth quarter since Quinn was struggling?
No, I mean, again, I think that we need to play better collectively. It's hard to, it's like anything with a quarterback. You put it all on the quarterback, and when things don't go well, and then when things go really well, the quarterback saved the day. The reality of it is we need to play better as a unit. We need to coach better as a staff. We need to make sure that we're doing a better job of giving our players the confidence and putting them in position to have success. And clearly, those things didn't happen. And the quarterback ultimately wears the brunt of that. So the idea is, we've got to all improve, Quinn included, to play better offensive football Saturday.
Yeah, could you kind of rate Quinn's footwork, his vision, his mechanics overall, where you have him?
He's doing a nice job.
On your far right, Joe?
On the shot plays, kind of the first read is the one that's furthest downfield. Are there times when Quinn isn't seeing maybe an open second read when there's a covered first read?
Well, it's all progression based. It's depending on if that deep shot was the first read. If that's his throw, he's going to cut it loose. So a lot of that is design. Some of that is read wise. If we have a high-low read component to it, but some of that is design. If that's the first read, that's the shot that we're going to take. And ultimately, we've got to keep working that so that we can hit those shots down the field to loosen up things in the run game, which they complement one another. If the safeties are the ones making the tackles at 3 yards from the line of scrimmage, well, clearly we have to find a way to get the ball behind them.
On your left, center.
Hey, Steve, I know we live in a passing era. Are you comfortable pounding Bijan and Roschon 35, 36 times?
We just did it 2 weeks ago, so very comfortable.
On your right, Roger.
Sark, 6 one-score games, all 4 losses in one-score games. Is that encouraging, discouraging, frustrating?
Well, I mean, I think it's encouraging to the idea that we're playing hard, we're playing tough, we're giving ourselves a chance. I think that never have we ever felt like any game have we been in, we've been out of the ball game. But it's also to some degree frustrating because, man, you want to win those games, and what would it look like if we have? But the reality of it is we can't play the what-if game. We got to focus on what's right in front of us. And we've got a big ball game Saturday, a very meaningful game in our conference, and we got to make sure that we keep our attention and our focus on the task at hand, and that's getting ready to go play Kansas.
Up front, Anwar.
Hey, Coach, just for clarity, you said that Quinn is looking for essentially where the ball needs to go, so essentially he's kind of throwing to a spot. So then what more than, or would you say, if I understood you correctly, then what does Xavier and all the other receivers need to be doing as far as getting to that spot?
Well, no, it's more progression. So we're a progression-based team, meaning go back to Bill Walsh, the Winning Formula book. He talks about a progression-based offense, about how you have reads that take you through, and that's how our offense is based on that. And so if a guy's the primary read and he has that matchup and we get the coverage we're looking for, that's where the ball goes. If that gets taken away, he goes to a second, third, fourth, fifth read in the progression. Sometimes it's a spot throw. Sometimes you have to defeat a man-to-man. So predicated on the coverage depicts the style of throw that he'll get. But in the end, it's the combination of the two. It's the quarterback and the receiver, the tight end and the runner, for that timing to be there that needs to be on point, and that ball placement needs to be where it is, and then ultimately making your play when the ball comes your way. So it's a combination of all those things adding up. You're welcome.
Over here on your left. Danny.
Steve, your thoughts on this Kansas team and the job that Lance has done?
I think Lance has done a great job. They've obviously came out early in the year and really jumped on people. Very unique style of offense. A lot of triple option, components to what they do, which everyone talks about playing. The Armies, the Navies, the Air Forces of the world, and how difficult they are to defend. Well, Kansas has a lot of those same elements. They just do it from a little bit more of a spread type set with the quarterback in the pistol and things of that nature. But there's still those elements. They still force you to play disciplined football. You got to play the dive, you got to play the quarterback, you got to play the pitch, and then they have the play action passes off of it. Got a dynamic runner. Neal's a fantastic player. And then defensively, like I said, they're very active up front. They create sacks, they create turnovers. So a lot of credit to them for the job they've done, and they've kind of withstood the storm of losing their starting quarterback. The backups come in and has kind of found his way a little bit too. So great challenge for us.
On your right, Terry.
So Sarkisian, after you and the staff looked at the film of the game, is there anything that jumped out at you or the staff that you would have changed in the game?
Called better plays and played better offensive football. That's the biggest thing. I thought we played great defense. Thought we played really good on special teams. Offensively, we never got into a rhythm, which was one of the components going in. We really wanted to find rhythm. So I've got to do a better job of calling plays that can create some rhythm for us, because when we find rhythm, we seem to operate better. And so I've got to do a better job of that.
In the middle, Bob.
With 4 losses now, is it tough to stick to the long-term plan? How do you adjust in season as you're going through difficult times of coming off a loss?
Well, I think about where we were this time last year, which was a tough spot to be in, and so I feel like we've made progress. Would I like to have a better record than 6-4 right now? For sure. But the idea of the way that we've lost a couple of the games and where we're at, and still where we're at in conference standings, I think there's still a lot of belief in what we're doing. I still think there's a lot of hope in what this season can be. But again, we can't think all big picture right now. We've got to make sure we're drilled down and zeroed in on the target, and that's playing really good on Saturday.
On your far left, Chip.
Steve, it seemed like last year Jordan Whittington was kind of Mr. Third Down before he got injured against OU. A lot of crossing routes. Do you tell Quinn or script plays for Quinn that involve more of the short and intermediate passing game? And is Bijan the type of guy who's so talented that you say, we got to get him the ball any way we can in the passing game, however, but especially on those shorter passes just to get Quinn confidence instead of, going down the field? It seemed like a lot the other night.
Okay, there's a lot in that question. Okay, so, sorry, didn't mean to. So what's helpful on third down is when you play 3rd and 5, 3rd and 4, 3rd and 6, 3rd and 3 football. That's when those crossing routes, those things can be, you can apply them more. The frustrating thing with the other night was it was 3rd and 7 plus, I think, 11 of the 13 third downs that we had. And so that makes it difficult, because what's going to happen is I'm going to throw those crossing routes to Jordan on 3rd and 10, and he's going to get tackled for 7 or 8 yards. And then I'm going to come in here, and you guys are going to ask me, why don't you throw the ball to the sticks or past the sticks when we don't convert? So there's always a catch-22 there. Our job is to try to get first downs. We try to call the best things that we can, put our players in position to have success on third down. Ideally, we put ourselves in more favorable situations on third down to convert. I think without question, as many ways as we can be creative to try to get Bijan the ball and just get it in his hands, no question, no doubt about it. He's that type of player. I think we're always trying to search for those things to try to make that happen.
In the middle, Roger.
Sark, your guys were obviously beat up afterwards, but a guy like Dima who wears his emotion on the sleeve, that defense played at a championship level. I know they played with emotion from the stadium. Now the defense has to travel. Can you recalibrate again and get that same kind of effort on the road?
Well, I think that's what good teams do, right? You start to find your rhythm. You start to find your calling card on either side of the ball, and I think they've got a lot of confidence to build off of. This is another great challenge and a unique challenge, a different one for them. But inevitably, we've kind of got a standard in which we want to play at defensively from an aggressive nature, an effort standpoint, a physicality, a population of the ball, and then obviously trying to eliminate the explosive plays. I think we did that for the most part the other night. It was unfortunate we gave up the 2 big plays, but I think there's a lot of things for them to build on and to carry with them on the road that is going to be needed. I think really good teams play complementary football, and they're good in all 3 phases. And, we just played a team that's number 4 in the country, that's 9-0, that had come into the game averaging over 500 yards and ended up having 283 yards. And so, they found a way to win with their defense the other night, not necessarily with that high-scoring offense, which is not what they had done earlier in the year. It had been outscore people. So good teams find a way to win when the game's ugly. We just didn't find a way to do it. We had chances to do it. Obviously, a couple first and goals late in the game. We didn't find a way. So hopefully we can learn from that experience. But that's what they did. Sometimes you have to lean on one side of the ball or the other to find a way to win. But we're going to need that same type of effort from our defense moving forward.
On the left?
You mentioned a good team finds a way to win. Do you still feel you're a good team?
Oh, yeah.
Is there anybody on offense that really you thought played winning football?
I do think we're a good football team. We've lost to a couple good teams. We've stubbed our own toes sometimes, and that's a level of consistency that we got to keep working towards. I thought Jordan Whittington played winning football for sure the other night. He was the guy that if I could say that guy played it, whether it was in the run game, whether it was providing a spark for us offensively with the ball in his hand. I thought he looked a little more reminiscent to the guy from earlier in the season. I thought he had a little lull in there, was fighting through a couple nagging injury things, but really bounced back the other night and played well.
Anybody else you want to mention?
No, that'd be the guy.
Stay on the left, Danny.
This story is still developing, so I don't know how much you know about it, but do you have anything to say to the UVA community about what's coming up?
Yeah, I don't know the particulars, so I don't want to speak on particulars. I just know that, praying for those families of those young men, praying for their football program. That's not easy. Having dealt with death within your own program more than one time for me, I know the toll it can take on your players and the people in the organization. So praying for them. That it's beyond unfortunate. It's unsettling, just kind of where we're at society-wise, that these things happen. And, to think that, again, I don't know the particulars, but that somebody could be dealing with some of those demons inside for something like that to happen is, man, I don't know. I'm at a loss for words. I'll be honest with you. I'm at a loss for words. That's really tough.
Back by the cameras, Tyler.
Hey, Steve, given Texas football's all-time success against Kansas, given what happened here at DKR last year, how much hungrier is your team to get it done on Kansas's home field?
Well, human nature tells you, yeah, right? I mean, man, we need to avenge what happened a year ago. The reality is we're a different team. They're a different team. A little bit more at stake in this scenario of what we need to do. So I think our guys, want to play well for a lot of reasons. I'm sure that's a component to it all. There's what happened this past weekend. There's a lot of behind the scenes that should be motivating for our guys. But the biggest motivator should be a standard of football that we're capable of playing, and we need to get back to playing to that standard.
In the far left, Chip.
Steve, I think Quinn's completing less than 50% of his passes the last 3 games. The last 18 drives have produced 6 points. No second half touchdowns the last 3 games. How concerned, frustrated are you as a play caller? You've been through something like this, but just what's the level of concern?
Yeah, I mean, mine is I like to score every time we get the ball. That makes me feel good. When we don't, I always seem to remember the ones that we don't. I love football. I love studying the game. I was thinking about the Buffalo Bills yesterday. I think one of the premier teams in the NFL with arguably the best quarterback in the NFL. And they went 4 straight games without scoring a touchdown in the second half. And so it can happen, right? All we can do is get back to work and try to make sure we find a level of consistency for everybody involved to play at a really high level. And that's what's needed in our conference. You're not going to get by playing okay or pretty good. You're going to have to play high-level football. We've got a lot of balance in our conference. And it doesn't matter how old your team is or how young your team is. Nobody cares about that. What we care about is execution and consistency, and then ultimately trying to find a way to win the ball game. And that's where we have to get ourselves to.
Last question. On the left, Cedric.
Bijan and DeMarvion are 2 of the most positive people in their locker room, but they were obviously frustrated from the game. How were the conversations with your leadership
Yeah.
over the weekend? their mental space going into the Kansas game?
You know, let me say this as a head coach. I'd much rather them be frustrated and a little upset right after a game like that than smiling and feeling good. I know that it hurts. I know that they put a lot into it. I know that it matters to them. I know that they have a lot of love and care for their teammates and their coaches. And the message to our guys is we got to get right back to work. You know, the longer we let this linger, the longer it's going to affect the next game. And we've got to get ourselves back to focusing on the task at hand and playing really good football on Saturday.